It's late, it's really late, and I probably shouldn't be doing this. Also, the camera's crooked, but I saw Creed 3 like literally 10 minutes ago, so let's talk about it. And I had high expectations going into this. I didn't think it was going to be like maybe one of the best Rocky movies, but hopefully like on the level of maybe Creed 2. I love the first movie. I think Creed 2 is also really good. So I was expecting this to be sort of like in that range, and maybe, in the range of like some of the lower tier Rocky movies. I don't know. But, going into this, I mean, it's directed by Michael B. Jordan, so I was also, like, kind of excited for his directorial debut, and I know I'm, like, 3 or 4 months late to this movie, but I gotta be honest with you, and I'm just gonna get straight to the point. This movie kind of disappointed me. It's not terrible. It's just, I feel like it was missing a lot of the stuff that made the first two movies and some of the stuff that makes the Rocky franchise distinct from other movies that fall in the same genre. Yeah. I feel like the movie as a whole wasn't as engaging or entertaining or just well made as I thought some of probably the first two movies were, and it feels like it was out of place kind of in this franchise. Sometimes I don't mean that in a bad way, because Michael B. Jordan actually takes some influences from anime and puts them in this movie, and I enjoyed parts of that. Sometimes it felt a little too awkward, but there were some scenes, especially in the third act, that final fight, I was like, okay, this is interesting. I like what you're doing here. Maybe not like in place with this entire franchise or even this movie. But it nevertheless, it was cool and distinct. But then I also feel like the way they got to that third act was so jarring, and it felt like there was a little time to breathe, almost no time to breathe. Funny, the next movie recommended was No Time to Die, but no time to breathe, like in between some of the transitions between the acts. But then when you get to like the actual acts by themselves, there's so much there, like maybe not so much, there's just a lot of fat in there that could have been trimmed out, and the movie could have been so much more fast-paced and entertaining. And it's crazy because this movie is actually really short, and there were just some times where I was like, okay, this is really long, and I don't understand, because it's not a long movie. But then the movie's not all bad. There were some scenes in this movie that actually kind of impacted me personally, because there were some scenes, like especially an emotional moment in the second act, I was just like, oh my god, because I was really, really in awe of that scene. But also it's personal. Just if you've seen the movie, you do not know what I'm talking about, because it's not what you think. It's not that dark, but it's just like something about it just really resonated with me. So that was really cool. And I also feel like Jonathan Majors gave such a good performance, so much better than Quantumania, even though he was great in Quantumania. But this movie is like so much better than that. But still, he gives a performance where like you don't think he's acting, because I was watching this movie and like, oh my god, that's Damian Anderson and not Jonathan Majors. And it felt like he was actually playing the character, and he wasn't playing the character, he was actually the character instead of being someone who was acting like the character. Because like for most of this movie, I forgot he was Jonathan Majors. I forgot he was acting. That's how good the performance was. Like, Jonathan Majors, you're a goat, mate. But there are also some scenes where I'm watching it and it's just, I know it's really obvious, like what they did, how they did it, and why they did it. Like, first of all, there are some really cheesy things that happen in the movie, especially towards like the end of the movie. You have like all these montages, and then some conventional things happen, and you're like, okay, after this happens, you have to have this final confrontation, and then it happens, and then I know exactly what's gonna happen after that, and then what I thought was gonna happen happens. It's way too predictable. And it kind of took me out of the movie. And there were other scenes where I know how they did it. And, I know that they used a Final Cut Pro sound effect. I mean, at least it sounded like one of the punches. it sounded like the slap sound effect from Final Cut Pro. I don't know, maybe when you watch it you're gonna notice it, but it kind of took me out of the movie, and those were the things that was like, okay, this is kind of cheap. Even though the movie doesn't look cheap, the movie looks amazing. The visuals are so good. The way that the final fight scene at the end, the way it's shot, I was like, okay, I'm really enjoying this because it's sort of like, I don't know how to explain it. It kind of goes out of the crowd and into a setting that is relating to the plot of the movie. And then you have like the stuff that happens there was really engaging. So I kind of enjoyed that about the movie. So like, I think what you're getting here, and there are more things I can talk about, but I think hopefully what you're understanding is this movie is kind of like, it has a lot of good, but then it has a lot of stuff where I'm like, okay. So it's not bad. I think it was entertaining for the most part. It's just a movie where I'm like, okay, Creed 2 should have ended this franchise and this isn't necessary. And there were scenes where I'm like, okay, why didn't you mention Rocky? Like I understand everything that's happening with Rocky and why he's not going to be in this movie, but there were some scenes where like, okay, why wouldn't you at least mention or like do like an Easter egg? Because they kind of did something like that, and it could have gone in a great direction, but then they sort of just like, they went away from that, and they sort of made it kind of like their own thing, where if they made the Easter egg, I think it would have been a lot better. If you've seen the movie, you probably know what I'm talking about, but again, that's not me saying, I know I'm making it out to be like The Room. It's not The Room. It's actually, it's an okay movie. It's just not one that I thought was overall necessary, so those are just that's just my personal opinion on Third Creed. What the heck? That's just my personal opinion on Creed 3. Again, probably not the popular opinion. But again, I was just kind of disappointed by it. Still, it's not like I'm not negative on the movie. I'm still positive overall. But again, kind of disappointed. So yeah, just let me know your thoughts on Creed 3. I know I was really late to the party, but I finally saw it because I was catching up with the Rocky franchise. I saw Creed 2 like a long time ago, but I did it. So here it is. Here's my review. Why am I still talking? See you soon. Bye.